Hello and greetings, my League of Eagles. You are always welcome to Leaders in Light, Love, and Legacy. We're live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fave Unite Radio. I'm Joy Ruffen, your minister of enlightenment, awareness, and awakenings, and your signature style and leadership specialist. Each week, I'm joined by a dynamic voice, a voice that brings you wisdom, insight, and unapologetic truth to this table. Because we love truth, beauty, and love that flows from the heart and soul with wisdom that we share with you each and every week. So if you're craving more style, more depth, more purpose, more wisdom, you're exactly where you're meant to be. This month, our theme is You Shine Beyond the Season. I think you know which season we're in. It's a call to awaken, to rise tall, and to let your light speak louder than words. Every conversation that we share this month will connect back to this theme. You shine beyond the season. And my featured guest speaker today is going to share with us a lot about this season, as wonderful as it is. It's not the easiest season for many people to deal with, and we'll be talking a lot about that. And I want you to embody that spotlight that we're going to be sharing with you each and every time we come to you, because I've launched my Style Clarity campaign. It's a complimentary 7-step confidence bundle, a private one-on-one session with me. Subscribe today at joyruffen.com/styleclarity and discover confidence that you can wear. If this is the first Tuesday of the month, it would be just me, but it's not. Today, we have a featured guest speaker. And today, my featured guest speaker, oh my goodness, he's given me grace because all of you know that I have a hard time with pronunciations, but I think I might have it down right here. My featured guest speaker, his name is Jason Wendroff-Rawnicki. I think I'm very close. And I want you to share and hear from me a little bit about his background, but I'm going to have him come up in a moment and tell you much more. Jason is how shall I say this? Because we're going to clarify this later. He is a body-centered grief therapist. And we're going to talk about the body-centered grief therapy in big details today, because we have a new name, at least it was for me, that I'm going to be sharing with you. And why does Jason do this work? Well, there are many reasons, but one of the main ones that he shared with me, and I could relate to it because I had the same experience in a different format. We'll share that. After losing his sister Lauren in 1998, he discovered that the healing, true healing, happens through the body, not just the mind. Now, as a somatic grief therapist and a keynote speaker, a best-selling author, a certified yoga educator, with an MA in psychology, Jason has guided thousands through his psychology first approach. And there's so much more, and I could go on and on, I can ramble, but I want you to meet Jason. So Jason, as they say on the telly, come on up and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Joy. It's such a pleasure. I adore you, and every conversation we have, I leave as a better person. So I'm excited to be talking to you here and to your audience today.
Jason, I always have a love fest here. Everyone that I bring on here, I don't know how to brown nose, sugarcoat, and candy coat and all that stuff. I speak from my heart and soul, and that's why you and I are connected. And we have so much in common, and I'm just delighted that you're here and you're taking this time to share with us. Now, let's get down to beef. I gave a little bit about your background, but
Sure.
Tell us more about your background and this title that I see that I knew and didn't know, and you explained it to me, a somatic. Boom, boom, boom. You take it from there.
Yes. So it's the word soma or somatic means all it means is body centered. And the way I look at it, it's all of our lifestyle choices that we make, the way we eat, the way we sleep, how we take care of ourselves, the supplements that we take. Anything that gets the body stronger and more vital is a really great way of dealing with grief. That's just the start of it. And then we have to work on the mindset and the emotions around it as well. And the reason I know this to be true is because I was going to be a more traditional talk therapist. That was my life goal. And then in 1998, my sister died in a car accident. Now I had known all this stuff about therapy and what it could do for you and all the benefits, but I realized that talk therapy was not going to be enough to help me through this. And back in 1998, there were really only a handful of options that were available mainstream. Like there was the psychoanalysis or cognitive behavioral. Those were the two, and I knew neither of those were going to really help me. So I started this internal exploration for something that was, and that's what brought me to like yoga and meditation and mindfulness and healthy lifestyle. I mean, to be honest, Joy, back then, my diet was like pizza and beer. And I realized that wasn't going to give me longevity. And even with the death of my sister, I realized that if I was going to continue to go down that pathway, that I was actually headed to an early grave too. And I made a commitment very early on that I was not going to let her death kill me as well. So I decided I overhauled my whole life just to make sure that didn't happen.
Jason. I think Betty Davis said that in one of her movies. That's pretty cool. She used another name. But listen, you are spot on, because I think I shared with you, my sister and I went in totally different directions, but we were like thicker than thieves in so many ways. She received 2 master's degrees and a PhD in psychology, and she became Dr. Jan Ruffen. But the bottom line is, I looked here, and I think you mentioned it to me in so many people, so many beautiful conversations, that you started off in psychology, but you know what you're sharing with us, which is powerful in my humble opinion. Talk therapy for the mind. You discovered in your loving way, with a lot of discovery and all of that it's about the body.
Yeah.
And what you said about you looking for longevity, things that are long lasting, and how to maintain that. And I understand that, not because I'm a happy senior, but because I know how important it is to maintain the body, the vessel, this temple that we call the body. Yeah. So how did you, after your sister passed with that horrible car accident, and then you decided, I'm not going to allow that to happen. That was a turning point, but how long did it take you to get into this new work that you're doing now with the somatic therapy?
Okay, so that's a long journey, right? Like because right in the beginning, especially being a bereaved sibling, our grief gets very invalidated, and you know this from experience, right?
I do.
Yeah, like when people come to you, they go like, "Oh, how's your parents doing?" Or "You have to be strong for your parents," and we get all of these messages that our grief doesn't matter. In fact, actually, maybe a few years ago, I did a hashtag search for sibling loss or sibling grief. Now, there was all kinds of stuff for parent loss, for child loss, for widowhood and pet loss, but there was nothing. There's really no word for sibling loss. So and so our grief as a bereaved sibling gets very invalidated. And so I was like, I pushed it down for many, many, many years. Now I knew within myself I needed to do some work because I didn't want it to destroy my life. So I personally was like, okay, let me get more involved with my yoga practice. I became a yoga instructor. I started teaching like meditation and mindfulness and energy healing. So I did all of that internal work for myself, but I never shared it with anyone until 2019. So now granted, I was teaching yoga and all of that stuff, but I did not want to be known as the guy with the dead sister. So I pushed that identity down for many, many, like 20 years, I pushed that down.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I realized in 2019, actually it's maybe a little bit before I started talking about my story. I started to embrace it. But the real turning point was in 2019, I was teaching yoga at a grief conference. And I asked somebody, I said, hey, why do you, as a bereaved sibling, why do you come to this conference? And the person told me that it was the only time that they could be themselves, that they could really be a bereaved sibling without people questioning or judging them or all of those things that go along with it. So, so I said, well, do you not have any support around in your local area? And she's like, nothing, there's zero. And I did some research and there's very little, support specifically for bereaved siblings. So I started a bereaved sibling peer support group, which actually I'm still running to this day. So, you can go on to my website, www.somaticgrieftherapy.com, and you could sign up for my email list and get the links for that group. It is specifically, my free peer support group is specifically for bereaved siblings. I personally have expanded into working with anybody grieving, and not just death-related losses, but also like divorce and business loss and all kinds of things like that.
I'm glad to hear that, Jason, because as you're sharing all of this wonderfulness with us, I'm thinking, what about a lot of them? Because I want to share this with you. I shared it with you somewhat private, but I didn't go into depth. When I lost my sister, who was my best friend and my beloved heartbeat in every way, I gained 60 pounds and was drinking like there was no tomorrow. Yep. I mean, I didn't even realize what I was going through until a nurse friend of mine, who was my sister's friend as well, came and said, Joy, you need to go to grief counseling. Yeah. And that's what I did. But I have to tell you, and I shared with you briefly before, it was nowhere near, I haven't attended one of your events or networking groups, but I know that was nowhere near what you're offering. Yeah. So this is much, much better bereavement for siblings. Yep. And then you're inviting others to come, because grief is a deadly, deadly kind of thing that many of us just don't know how to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. And your example is a perfect example how your grief gets stored in the body. Like we overeat, we overdrink, we have, we doom scroll, we do, like, sometimes we overwork, all of these things to prevent ourselves from really having the experience. And the one thing that really made me shift from more of a psychological approach to the physical approach, right, was that, the body, heart, and mind all have to work in harmony with each other. Our thoughts, our feelings, and what we do in this world have to align. And so if they don't align, you can think happy thoughts, you can think positive stuff, but it's not going to affect or change your behavior unless your body and emotions are aligned with that type of thinking. So if you're just working emotionally and mentally, which is what many therapists do, you're missing a vital component. And I find that changing your physiology is the fastest way to change how you feel and what you think.
I love that. I love what you're saying. And I have a comment to make or a question to ask, because I always say in everything that I do, Jason, that it's heart and soul connected. Now, the body is a part of that. Definitely. And you say the heart, body, and mind needs to be in cahoots and alignment together. I think what happens to those of us who have been through any kind of grieving cycle, the mind kind of takes over.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yep.
For sure. And the heart and the soul and the body, it seems to be drifting. And what you're doing, as far as I can tell, and what you're sharing with us, is that you're allowing people to go deeper into the body, because you said, and let's go to what you shared with me. You said your grief challenges stored in the body. So let's speak a little bit more about that, because I think this is what many of us, myself included, need to hear, because I already know, speaking about the personal stuff, that this is what we all have to go through. And when the time comes, you have to be able to deal with it. Yep. So you don't lose your mind or your body.
And I'm going to throw a little theory out that I don't always usually share with people. A lot of people say that there's a subconscious mind, right? But nobody's been able to find where that actually is. I actually think most of the subconscious comes from the cells of your body. So So if we're having these beliefs that limit us, it's not coming from coming from our conscious mind. It's coming from the messages that we're getting on an intracellular level. And so that we really have to be careful of not just what we think, but what we do and how we act. And you can, no matter which way you go into your healing process, you can come into it from the body, you could come into it from the emotions, you can come into it from the thoughts, but you have to realign all of them at some point. And to your point, those all have to be realigned with our spirit and our soul. So we have to, I don't always mention it because everyone's got different religious beliefs. And so I kind of keep it, I'm very spiritual. I'm not very religious necessarily. So I really think that that we have to make sure that we're aligning it with our true purpose in this world, and so that we can be of service to more people.
Jason, I love that. And I think that's very beyond brilliant, because the subconscious mind, nobody's ever been really to get in there and discover what it is, where it is. But you said it's cellular, which means it's connected to the body. And I'm with you in this. And I say whatever an individual's higher source, supreme being, God, creator, whatever might be, all well and good. Yeah. No one is to judge another. But I take the spiritual road as well. But I don't judge others because they're on another path. Sure. And I know that everybody needs something to believe in and to actually embody in many different ways. So I get that. But when it comes to the body and grief challenges that are stored, where do you begin? You're not going to give us the whole saga, but what do you do to get people to realize that they have to go more into the body to understand that grief that they're dealing with?
Well, yeah. So, simple movement. I never, I teach yoga, right? But I don't encourage everyone, you have to do an hour of yoga every day. I actually am more practical with it. All right, so, how do you feel comfortable moving? It could be as simple as going, when you're feeling upset or frustrated, or, the waves of grief are coming over you, put on your sneakers and go take a walk, get outside, right? You're moving your body, you're getting some sunlight, you're maybe getting into nature for a little bit, right? So just simple movements. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, because if we make it too complicated, we're not going to do it, because, complexity is the thief of execution. And if we do not keep it simple, we're not going to do it. So I'm a big fan of have a 10-minute dance break. Put your favorite song on and just shake what your mama gave you. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how. It's just that you move in some way, shape, or form. And I exercise. I'm a big fan of exercise. I go running, probably 4 to 5 mornings every week, and then I do some resistance training. But it doesn't have to be that. It can be just as very simple as moving your body in some way, shape, or form.
Oh, Jason, you're preaching to the choir here, because what I know for sure now, and it has nothing to do with the cycle of life, it's just about knowing and a feeling within. You mentioned that wonderful, powerful word, moving, because when you're dealing with that grief, you do whatever you have to do, and then you come and you kind of hide. You hide however you do it, with food, with drink, with conversations, or doing things that are mindless. But you need to move, because this body, this vessel, this temple that we have is powerful, and we have to learn to connect and relate to it. I think yoga is great. Not everybody can do yoga. So there are many other ways that they can.
I'm gonna disagree with you. I think everyone can do yoga. They just have to find the right style that works for them. Because there's lots of different styles out there. I very much, when I teach, I focus on mechanics. I am very big on teaching people how to use their body efficiently, because so many of us, especially with a computer, modern day computer lifestyles, they say that sitting is the new smoking, because it's causing that much turmoil in their bodies. And and what happens is when we're bodies are stressed, it affects our chemistry. Our cortisol levels go up, even if we're eating beautiful organic foods and live foods. If we're not able to digest and metabolize them, then it's going in and coming out. So, we have to really make sure that we're keeping our stress levels at bay, making sure that we're sleeping well. Research is showing that sleep is maybe even more important than diet and exercise or exercising. Because that's when our body repairs itself. That's when our body can really rest and recuperate. So,
Jason, I'm in love again, because I love being corrected, because when you said it, it resonated to the marrow of my bones. It's about finding the right style of yoga that fits you.
Well, now, and the right teacher too.
And the right teacher, right? You're speaking in my language, because when it comes to style, I talk about signature style, one finding their own, and it's going to be different and unique for each and every individual, each and every woman. And it's knowing your body, understanding it, and dressing it accordingly. So I get the style, finding the right style, the lane that you are best fitted in with the right instructor, and all of that. Now you speak about sleep. Sleep. How paramount is that?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be honest, my sleep schedule, I keep very consistent because there's a whole sleep hygiene ritual. So if you want to kind of work on that, consistent bedtime, consistent wake time is critical. Sleeping in a cold room, so around like 65 degrees, helps you sleep better. Make sure you turn off your devices, maybe about an hour before you're ready to go to bed. I'm a big fan of using essential oils and diffusing. And so what that actually does is there's a lot of research to show that our sense of smell can help regulate our emotions. And so when we have that sense of smell, and if we diffuse the same thing every night, then once we get that smell, it associates our brain with sleep, and then we're ready to go to bed. Not making sure you're only using your bed for sleep, or little extracurricular activities are okay, but not to sit and read or be on your phone or any of that stuff. And make sure you get outside, because being outside tells the brain it's daytime, and then when the sun goes down, it's nighttime. And our brain is not really, because of our devices are all daylight balanced, and they replicate the sun. When you are watching your computer at night, the brain thinks it's daytime, and it screws up your cycle.
Oh my goodness. But listen, you mentioned a word there, Jason, that really is paramount for all of us who want to have a healthy mind, body, and soul, heart and soul connected. It's pivotal in every way. Consistency.
Yeah.
When it comes to sleep and so on.
Yeah.
Now, before we go any further with that, I like what you said, but let's go to something else you gave me, because it's in my wheelhouse, but it relates to you. Matching your outside with your insides, and matching your insides with your outside. I think you've already spoke to that a wee bit, but give us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, we want to make sure that our environment reflects how we feel on the inside, our style, our look, because how we present ourselves is just a reflection of what's going on inside. Mm-hmm. And so when you can really curate your style. And that's actually, if it makes you feel better, it can help change you from the inside, because you're feeling strong, you're feeling powerful, you're feeling sexy, you're feeling whatever it is, right? You're using that physicality, even the physicality of getting dressed and checking yourself out in the mirror, right? That all reflects inside, and then we also have to take our insides and then, really match them with the outside. So we can go in either direction.
And you know what I know for sure, though, Jason, is when it comes to grief, and one is in grief, they don't pay that much attention. I mean, it's just like random throwing together, because it's like a giving up on their presence and their appearance and so on. So I get that.
Well, and we also have to be very have a lot of grace on ourselves, especially in the beginning stages of our grief journey. So it may be as simple as making sure you're taking a shower, right? That may be, you may have to dial it down to that granular level. That's me taking care of myself. Or I'm eating a meal. It doesn't even need to be a great meal, but I'm eating some food. In the early stages of grief, that can feel very overwhelming and yeah.
Indeed. Well, you use that word too. I'm a wordsmith with all my learning disabilities. I love that word grace, because I'm always asking for grace, because I just keep plugging on, even with the learning disabilities that I have. But I want you to tell us now, you mentioned it before, your website and all, but tell us about the events that you have, how often you meet, when, where, how, once a week, once a month, every other. How does that work for people who need and know that they should be connecting with someone like you?
Sure. So I have a weekly peer support group for bereaved siblings. For my meeting is every Thursday night, but I do monitor and manage other meetings, other facilitators. So there's a whole program I have a whole program that's completely free. That's my free offering, because I don't believe money should be an obstacle for people to get some form of grief support. And then I have my professional services that I offer, which is our one-on-one sessions where, and my most effective is a 3-month package, because that's the best way of conditioning your nervous system. We can't just eat one salad and expect us to lose 50 pounds, right? Like, we have to eat a salad every day. So 3 months is it's 60 to 90 days is what makes an effective shift in our nervous system. So I have a 3-month package that I offer people where we have one-on-one sessions, and I'm a very solutions oriented therapist. So I work from the present moment and into the future, rather than digging into the past. Sometimes we need to visit the past. Our patterns come from the past, but they show up in the present. So if you work in the present, you can change your future.
Jason, I just love the way you deliver your wording, and your message is so prevalent and so timely for today, for all of us, no matter what cycle of life we're in, for our own awakening, because things are changing drastically in our society. And those of us who are the new age leaders, we are aware, we feel it, we sense it, we know it. Now, I don't know where the time goes, but it just flies by. It flies by so quickly, but I'm glad the way you ended that. But I want to ask you one more question that I might have the answer to, but I want you to really expound on this. And this will be your takeaway for the audience, for those who are tuning in now and those who will come later. But you had, and you gave me, which I love, I've seen and heard this before, make your mess, MESS, your message.
100%.
Give us more about that.
All right, because especially in grief, right, or any challenge you're having, right, we get into that sort of victim mode sometimes. There's nothing I can do about it, and it's such a challenge. This is the worst thing in my life, right? But in fact, you're learning so much from whatever situation you're dealing with. And so for me, it was all of the good things that came out of my grief. I'm more courageous than I've ever been before. I don't have fear and, oh my God, what, should I do this? Should I not do this? I do it and then ask for forgiveness later. If so you're right. I would have never had that courage had not my sister passed. I wouldn't have been able to go out on my own and do the work that I do and trust that I'm going to get more clients, and more clients and I have a business. I would not have had that courage had she had not passed. Time is another thing that I realized I don't have much time to deal with superficial stuff. If I'm talking with someone, that's why our conversations, Joy, are so amazing, because they go deep fast. And that's what I like. I don't need to, how's the weather and blah, blah, blah. I don't have time. I have no desire for that, right? I can do it. I could do it with the best of them, but put me in a room with one other person. That's why I love my one-on-one work, because we go deep. And then also selflessness is too. I learned selflessness from my sister's passing. I was very only concerned about myself, and now I everything I do is for not to the unhealthy way. I do my exercise and stuff for me, but it's in service of others. I keep myself healthy so I can have more energy to serve others.
I don't think you could have ended on a better note, my friend, because that's what it's all about. You're ending there. And everyone who's in this new age of leadership, it's about you perfecting your gifts and your skills and talent. But in the process, you're passing something on to others so they can blossom. And they can grow into the best of themselves. And I like what you said, this victor mode, and also this chit chat, which is timeless and means nothing. We don't have time for that. We are on a mission. We have a purpose, and so on and so forth. The time is gone. It's over. So what big takeaway do you want people to walk away with here? Because we have people, we're global. We go everywhere. I want them to remember Jason, and I want them to know your work. So anything you want to share as a last point you want to make?
Well, since this is coming around the holidays, I just want everyone to be aware that the holidays are not necessarily joyful for everybody. Mm-hmm. Please be concerned with your friends that are maybe going through a loss or are dealing and struggling with grief. The holidays are really difficult, and they may need a little bit of extra TLC. They may need, you don't need to do anything, but just be around for them to listen, just to listen to them, because sometimes people just need a friendly ear to be able to talk about their loved one or how hard the holidays are for people. So just be aware that not everybody is in happy, joy mode right now. Yeah. Some people are really struggling, and holidays are really a tough time, for anyone who's struggling with loss.
Thank you, Jason. That was beautifully said and so well needed to be said, because that's so true for all of us, regardless to where we are in life. And the other thing I wanted to share with you, no comment necessarily, is that your sister you lost in 1998. I don't know the year that I lost my sister. It's been so long ago, but you know why? Because she's always with me, in my heart and soul connected. And so she is with you. Stay tuned. I'm going to wrap up, and then I'll be back with you in just a second. Thank you for all of this love and wisdom that you share with us today. My League of Eagles. Whoa, what a rich and soul-stirring conversation today we had with our guest speaker, our featured guest speaker, Jason. Jason has left you with a lot of key takeaways. And one of them that I'm taking away, and he left me and he gave me this, I don't think he's aware of it, but he's not. I'm going to share it with you now. Yoga. I said it's not for everyone. He said, oh, yes, it is. It's about finding the right style and the right mentor, the right instructor that you want to work with. So experiment, fly around, travel around in your neighborhood until you find the right person for you. And there were many other takeaways, and I'm sure you will be listening to all of them. That's a wrap for today, my leaders in light, love, and legacy. Doesn't this title fit the people, the men and women that I bring here? Because we're all about not only our own liberation and empowerment, but we're about sharing it with you. I'm Joy Ruffen, always honored to be your guide and companion on this path. Let me leave you with a precious gem from Jason today. Jason said that the body-centered grief therapy that he does, that everything emanates and stems from the body. I think many of us were on a different path and understanding about that. So I want you to take that to heart and soul. And as your minister of enlightenment, awareness, and awakenings, let me leave you with this. So many use the word empowerment, but few truly understand it. Empowerment without liberation, and Jason spoke to this in many different ways today, is empty. Liberation must come first. Did you hear Jason said it took him almost 20 years to find his way into the light? Breaking free, shedding what no longer serves you, only then can empowerment take root and flourish. When the two walk hand in hand, true transformation unfolds. That's why when you step into your signature style, you radiate confidence you can wear, and you truly own and shine in your spotlight beyond the season. To support you on this journey, I've designed my Style Clarity campaign. Please visit me at joyruffen.com/style clarity and claim your complimentary 7-step confidence bundle and book your private one-on-one with me. No one loves fashion and style more than I do. I'm looking for the signature styles. I'm looking for that small percent of women who really love to dress and show the best of themselves at all times in all situations. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Fashioning Femininity, Style, and Truth, for more conversations that blend style, substance, wisdom, love, and soul. Join us every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And remember, you shine beyond the season. So keep rising, keep shining, spread your wings, and soar high, my eagle. Until the next time, from my heart to yours, much, much love. Cheers.